right? I think that the right, like conservatives, should be blasting the fuck out of anyone on like ostensibly on their side who is saying some crazy shit or who is in office that is doing some crazy shit like the George Santos dude. The left needs to completely destroy the online left because goddamn, do they make even like reasonable shit like universal healthcare look like actual Marxist, white genocide shit. My take on this would probably be fuck people who are like implicitly or explicitly supporting Hamas. I think that the fact that they're going out and they're pushing the narratives that they are is more damaging to the Palestinian cause than literally anything that you do to, point out the hate speech could ever do. All right, let's have a short conversation with Radif, okay? I saw that testicle down, so I'll look at it right after this conversation. Short conversation with Radif.
Okay, hold on. Was that the new call sound effect? That's new.
It sounds the exact same to me.
I was getting blasted with the call, and it had a Halloween theme. I haven't used Discord for 2 or 3 months. I was just like, what the hell is that?
Oh, well, maybe there's a new incoming call Halloween sound effect. So
yeah, it was actually blasting my ears, and it was the spooky, scary skeletons type beat. And I was like,
oh, sick.
What the hell am I getting blast from? But okay. Sorry, I just set up the before I call. Okay. Hey, how you doing? How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Just for context for people listening, because we have not spoken since I think shortly
Last
after.
year, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was
Shortly after the invasion of Ukraine,
yeah,
or maybe 2 months, maybe 4 months after. I don't know.
something like
It was- Yeah.
that. But you messaged me while I was in Dallas, just hanging out at the state fair, that you were in trouble with the ADL.
I'm not in trouble with the ADL.
You're in trouble with the ADL because you did hate speech, and you wanted my advice.
No. It was actually really funny because no, I'm getting no. I said I'm getting involved with the hate speech. This is me. This is what I said. I quote: "I'm getting involved with the hate speech case, and the ADL has taken interest. Not that I'm the perpetrator of hate speech."
Okay, that was the implication that I got out of your message. So,
Well, in all fairness, there's not a lot of good messaging about me on the internet, which not known for being the brightest circles. So yeah, it's fine that you're thinking that way.
so give me the rundown. What's going on?
Yeah. So what? I actually first, where are you at? What area? What state?
Texas.
Okay. All right. You're in the city, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what the IMT is by chance?
The IMT? What does that
It's
stand
a-
for?
International Marxist Tendency. So it's the revolution without the ESA.
Really quick, can you lean closer to your mic? It's so bassy I can barely understand you.
Okay. My bad.
You're good.
Just I'm leaning back and I'm acting like we're taking a cigar.
Yeah, it's just that it's too bassy. It's not that the volume's bad. So I probably know concepts around it, but I'm not sure if I know specifically.
So I'll just quickly summarize. They're a fringe Marxist group. They do some union organization now. And where I'm at, they've had a heavy impact on the organization of campus employees.
Mhm.
So what happened in light of Israel Palestine, we have student bodies here that hold quite a bit of power. One of which is the ASA, which is the Arab. I know, so many acronyms.
No, that's fine.
And yes, the ASA is the Arab Student Association. So they hosted a protest. Well, hold on. Well, let me get to that first.
Yeah.
But first, they immediately in response to events that happened in Israel about last week, they posted a pretty much like a message that kind of I wouldn't say it was pretty apologetic language towards Hamas,
Yeah.
to say the least. Like it was, I wouldn't put it quite on like genocidal mania, but like it
Bad.
was quite questionable. It was pretty bad. And you have to keep in mind that Arab Student Association's associated with like the Department of Education. Like this is it's a big implication. Right? They got a bit of flack for it, but nonetheless, there was a protest hosted last Friday, and they had the IMT show up because the IMT is just, obviously they're anti-capitalist and they just anti-imperialist anywhere, and they're kind of a tanky organization. So they're like, those people who are like oppose the US's message so bad that they're like pro China, and then you're like, whoa, but that's not where you want to be either, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, they've gone down such the shitter that they've become a little authoritarian here at least. And anyways, they were calling at the protests for intifada against
Uh-oh.
against Jews. So
Can you
I
link me
mean,
the statement? I won't show it on stream if you're worried about people like seeing your stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I can send you this image real quick though, because I know that the ASA pulled down their stuff, and I know people have a hold of what they said. I am not one of those people because I am not really, a discovery for evidence.
mm,
Um, but I do have this photo that I can show you, an image from the protest. And keep in mind, the protest was probably only 30 people or so. I can show you this image, and you can do with it what you like. Things are still in the process, so kind of.
yeah,
Damn, I
it's
will.
you're not worried about like me showing this on stream
You
because it
can,
sounds
you
like
can.
this is a
It's
college that you go
it's
to.
yeah, yeah. It's fine. You
Okay.
can you can go ahead. It's not like yeah. You can show it on screen if you really want to. But it's not. You can see what I'm talking about. The Intifada cell victory. They also have a lot of pro like just jihadist material that they hand out that they hand out at the protest. And why this is a problem is because this occurred on a college campus, right? And imaged in the photo that you're looking at is the chapter president of IMT. So
Hmm.
he's on the National Congress of IMT, so it's pretty high up, and those two are the board members. And why this matters is because it occurred on Western. Western did nothing about it. Um, so this university is an extension of the Department of Education, right?
Right.
So they're facilitating hate speech on campus. Um, so now my real debate is that I'm getting involved in this heavily, and have quite a bit of stuff on the IMT, quite a bit of cannon fodder on the IMT. I've recently stuff kind of broke apart with the IMT, so I was like, fuck it, I'll send it over to this news source. And I did, and they were like, hey, we want to have a meeting with you, and then we want some members of student body members who have been just frivolously attacked. And then they also wanted, meeting with me and other like just Jewish community members.
Hmm.
And what I was debating at the time when I was trying to talk to you, as I was like, so first of all, the ADL, which the news team said that the ADL was interested in also talking with us.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you know what the ADL is.
Anti-Defamation
Anti-Defamation
League.
League.
Yeah.
Yep. A pretty prominent civil rights group. And I know they are known for mostly like alt-right hate speech, but they also do like police reform cases. Like
Yeah, they do a lot of
they,
stuff.
yeah. It's not just like anti-Jewish sentiment kind of stuff. Um, anyways, yeah, they're thinking about taking the case, um, which is really cool. But I was wondering with complications. So one complication is that I didn't organize the protest, but I did have a heavy role in it being created. And then also, I was also wondering, like, is that gonna like, is this something if implemented, right? Because hate speech is such a gray area, but this is really, I mean, this is definitely like, if there is a definition for hate speech, it would definitely be fall into the calling for genocide on Jews.
Yeah, I
That
feel
would
like, yeah,
definitely,
that's probably a
that would,
very big one. Yeah.
yeah, it would definitely, if there is a definition for hate speech, that would definitely fall into that category. Um, so I was wondering what kind of, like, I've been positing the implications of it, but where else could the implications be? Is it going to have a positive effect, or is it really only going to just disseminate leftist voices? You know,
When you say disseminate leftist voices, you mean what?
I mean, like, is it really just a tool to hamper? When you're talking about like hate speech, as far as Israel Palestine, it feels like I'm just handing them a tool to hamper like pro-Palestinian voices.
Um, my take on this would probably be people who are like implicitly
Yep.
or explicitly supporting Hamas. I think that the fact that they're going out and they're pushing the narratives that they are is more damaging to the Palestinian cause than literally anything that you do to, point out the hate speech could ever do. So,
Yep.
for example, a lot of people, myself included, right, are absolutely disgusted by the sorts of shit that we're seeing people say on Twitter about, the Hamas attack, right? I called someone subhuman yesterday for implying that the people at the
They
music
deserve it.
festival got what they deserved for being,
Oh my God.
loose women or whatever, right?
Jesus.
But
What? For
yeah,
losing with
yeah, that
that's
essentially,
awful. That
yeah.
is awful.
So like, I think that honestly, the best thing for Palestinians would be for people who have a measured take, who understand that the Palestinian cause is just, right? They deserve to have representation or to be granted their own state, right? Either they get voting rights or they get their own state. Otherwise, they're being like actively oppressed.
Mhm.
That should be something that should be focused on. But the
Right.
narrative that we're getting out of these, like especially left wing groups that are supporting the Palestinian cause, is supporting the groups and the actions of those groups of the exact people that are destroying possibilities for peace.
Mhm.
Hamas doesn't want peace. They don't want there to be a peaceful negotiation, right? Uh, the reason why they attacked seems to be that they're trying to goad Israel into another humanitarian crisis so that Saudi Arabia and other Arab nations aren't allying with them or normalizing relations because that will hurt their cause for getting, from the river to the sea for all the Palestinians. Um,
Mhm.
so I would say, yeah, take it like work with the ADL if they're gonna bring this case
Mhm.
to the courts. Like I don't know how far they'll get depending. It just depends on what the actual statement that was put out that was deleted said. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you gotta.
Right.
I think that the biggest thing for people who are reasonable is to absolutely destroy and make it, un not valuable to put out false narratives or skewed narratives for the extremes, right? I think that
Mhm.
the right, like conservatives, should be ass blasting the out of anyone on like ostensibly on their side who is saying some crazy shit or who is in office that is doing some crazy shit like the George Santos dude. Um, the left needs to
He was funny.
completely destroy the online left because goddamn, do they make even like reasonable shit like universal healthcare look like actual Marxist, white genocide shit. So yeah, these people need to go. Work with the ADL. That's what I would suggest. The ramifications um, for the Palestinian people are much greater if the bad actors in Western countries.
Highlighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think something that I didn't mention that would be important context
Uh oh.
was that nothing awful. Well,
No, I'm
actually pretty
fine.
awful. Western or the campus, they released an apology statement, but it was so vague that you could have connected it to literally anything. Like it was so vague, it was so indirect, and it was so unsincere that it was. I didn't even know they were apologizing. If I didn't know the context, I would have not known what they were apologizing about. Because you
Jesus.
could have literally just like copied it. That was like copy pasta. They gave us copy pasta for an apology, and apparently they went to the rabbi at his nearest campus who owns the pretty like it was pretty much he's not like in charge of the Jewish community, but like he's in charge of the English community. And he went to they went to him and then they gave him like a private apology, which means that they acknowledge the actions were wrong, and they're willing to own up to it privately, but it feels like they are victim to forces to be. And this is a very leftist campus, so their vague apology is just like laughable, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess a portion of me was like, I don't know. I felt like a little bit euphoric. So like I don't think I'm gonna ever be involved in something as big as this, as big of a like case or whatever. Or it's just like, oh, I have a shot at like changing, civil rights. You know, pretty cool.
Yeah, I would
Um,
I would
it's-
like given the stuff that you've told me about this, like yeah, I would say go for it. If you have a life in politics that you're planning, this would probably look good on a resume to help out the ADL. If but like in terms of like the practical aspect of it, I don't think that there's anything bad about doing this, like getting involved with it. Um, I would, at least from my perspective, the like, can you think of a single con?
I think the only con that I'm thinking about, because I mean, for context, for even more context, because now it's just like, oh God, I need to be more. Um, I was creating like a leftist branch here, but it was kind of just like a United Front kind of deal. Um, so there wasn't really like any huge organized action, but I was creating United Front, and this kind of feels like this is just counting the cell I had, which was the IMT. Feels like it's just counting them into oblivion, and it feels like I'm just kind of sacrificing.
Betraying the
Yeah,
people that you like brought together.
but it's just like not to be like, but your sacrifice is worth it. But it's like if I can get a civil rights, if I could get a civil rights case law out of you, then I'm willing to sacrifice yourself. You know,
Yeah.
like it's
Really
also
quick,
stuff like
DM
that.
me DM me the university and the name of the
Yeah, keep this out. Keep this
yeah,
out of
yeah,
this.
yeah. I have it off screen.
Yeah.
And the name of the group. I want to see if I can find their original. Uh, got you. Okay.
Yeah. And then they're gonna go. Yeah. And also, I didn't even ask why you're not on Twitch.
Oh,
And I
I
don't know
got
if
banned for
that's
being for being pro trans.
what.
Yeah, I was watching a President Sunday stream about the Brianna Wu stuff, and because he said transsexual too many times, I got clapped.
So this is like, the big thing here is that this group is not part of the school like that. They hold meetings and stuff at the school, But the big thing is that they tied themselves to the ASA at our school. So they went to the protest and they protested in their like the same place. And the big thing is that I'm going to become kind of a piece because I had a heavy role in the time, the place, and the day of the organization of the protest.
Is this a statement right here, by the way? Really quick.
I think, yeah. So they, no, this isn't defense marks. These are like this, like that's not the same organization, but here, I'll
Well,
get
it's
you,
the IMT statement.
yeah, it's the same statement. It's not the same website.
Okay, got you.
So let me get you the same like website that I can pull off of. They also have like these pamphlets that aren't in the online, and I don't know if that's on purpose because they know it's really bad or if they're just trying to sell it, you know. But their pamphlets were essentially just jihadist material. Like they were really rough. See,
Yeah. The way things are going, I don't think this is a unique perspective. And I've heard other people, I've heard Destiny, I've heard a couple of other streamers say this as well, but like I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or 2 years we start seeing left-wing violence in the same way that we saw right-wing violence from the alt-right, because they're just becoming more and more extreme, right? Like when I was a leftist, it started off with, oh, I want everyone to have housing. I want everyone to have medical care, right? I want everyone to have a nice quality of life. And now it's like, yeah, decolonization means that you can literally do whatever you want to the colonizers. Rape, murder, kill, doesn't matter. You can literally do anything with no moral judgment because the brown people just literally can't help themselves from killing, colonizers. Like that's what it's turned into. And I think that is I think it's radicalizing people, and it's going to lead to not just problems for the left, right, which I really wouldn't care about, but like the fact that it's such radical language is inevitably going to get some kooky loser who lives in their mom's basement and has a AR-15 or some shit to go out and mow down a group of people because they're colonizers or because they're white supremacists or something.
They definitely have been a lot of anti-Semitic, like, and I hate to do this thing because like this is such a tenuous debate because it's like, oh, it's being anti-Zionist, but there's like some straight anti-Semitic stuff that's been going on around campus that I just feel like is an extension of that Intifada thought, and it's also like it's like I'm all here. If you want to criticize the IDF for stopping their knocking campaign, which I don't know what knocking is.
Yeah, they drop a bomb on the top that isn't designed to like break through the building.
Noise.
Yeah,
it's just a noise one, and then they give a minute. They stopped that campaign. They also pretty much refused a peace treaty with Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Kuwait, the Gulf states. So like, Benjamin Netanyahu wants war just as much as Hamas does. It's not like he's on record. He also.
Who is this? Sorry, I missed the name.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh yeah, Netanyahu's a piece of shit. Like that's something that I keep on trying to explain while I'm talking about this, right? Because I have at least one extreme Zionist who's in my chat often. It doesn't seem like he's there right now, but we should absolutely support Palestinian people's rights to, achieve the two-state solution, achieve peace, right, or get voting rights, or have some, path towards some kind of solution that is agreeable to both sides, or at least mostly agreeable to both sides. It's basically like Israel does absolutely fucking abhorrent shit to them on a regular basis, but at the same time, Hamas has forced Israel into a position now where they like have no choice but to respond. Like if they don't respond, then Hamas can just say, look, we got everything that we wanted because of terrorist activities. We should do this more often, right? It incentivizes that activity. And if they like go too hard, then they're going to say, see, this is exactly why we did our terrorist attack. It was completely justified because they're genocidal, whatever. And then Israel loses a bunch of possible key allies, or, uh, maintains enemies rather than losing enemies in the area, like with Saudi Arabia and Jordan and places like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Netanyahu's first, and I was like, I always like to reiterate when I talk to, it does seem like I'm Israel these days, but I'm not. It's just like, I do completely reiterate that it's just like, to me, the government of Israel does not want peace. They kicked out Fatah in order for Hamas to take it over, right? I mean, this is, at some point, this is their fault. But that's not to say the blame lies on the settlers that were promised like a good life by moving there, right?
Yeah.
The same regard that you would never say like the people in the World Trade Center deserve the plane.
Don't say that to Hassan, dude.
Oh yeah, the bro didn't get the memo. He's also, again, not to dive off topic, Hassan's been spouting the anti-Taiwan independence line recently, which is making me think that he's got some external funding.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think that he has like audience capture, right? He has so many socialists in his audience that if he were to take some sort of even tepid response towards defending Taiwan, then like his audience would revolt.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of dives into my other point, which is like they're becoming very tanky.
Yes.
Like you were saying, that they have become almost as friends as those QAnoners at this point. And which is why I was going to ask you, the big thing here is that how do I get IMT members to kind of join back up? How do I get them to leave and divulge and join like under another leftist umbrella? That's my real problem I'm facing. It was just like I essentially worked for so long through the Seattle Protest Network, for all this and that, for all these good connections. It seems like I'm kind of just burning them, kind of just burning like 30 good people right now. And the intention isn't to burn the people themselves, although it is partially to be like, oh, you're part of INT. Like, I want the general public to like actually attack them for being associated with an organization. Yeah, and it's associated with an organization that's, proclaiming terrorism as good. So like I think that's a valid criticism, and I think that should scare them away from leadership. But the problem is, how do I get those fringe members back under like a united umbrella?
This is something that this is probably gonna be the most difficult thing for you to do. You might have to accept that all of those people are never going to want to work with you again. When we look at people who have tried to break out, people from extreme like right-wing operations, right? Very often, like look at what do they call it? America First, right? Like the Groypers. When someone starts pointing out either hypocrisies or bad rhetoric or a lack of success with the tactics that they're using at Groyperland, everyone turns on that person. That person gets ousted, and like no one in that area wants to deal with them basically ever again.
Right.
I think that what the thing that you should think about is, if someone is part of an organization, right? And think about like if you're like as a leftist, right? There's like the phrase, if there's 4 Nazis and a regular person sitting at a table at a bar, there's 5 Nazis at that table, right? Or something along those lines, right? Meaning like if you associate yourself with Nazis, then you are implicitly condoning Nazism. The people who are in that organization that have not spoken up, there's two possibilities. Either they condone literal terrorist style intifada, let's kill Jewish people type rhetoric. They're okay with that, or they're too scared to speak up for themselves. Right? Those are like the two options. Either they condone it, or they support it. I guess there's a third option. They just like wholesale support it. But I would say if they're so far gone that they're going to like be part of that organization still after they're supporting the Hamas attacks, yeah, like I wouldn't worry too much about them because they're not going to be helpful to you in the future.
Right. And I think, well, I don't know. It's tough because like I know some of these people myself now.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, to me, I know these people are like not all bad. And the goal here is to literally just show them that like under their current leadership, the general public hates them. They're not even going to be able to get 5% of the support. You're not going to be able to get any support to be able to muster up anything with your current leadership. And that's, I mean, this supports my argument, but the problem is, it's just like, how do these are 30 good people. I mean, like, there are 30 good people who are part of this organization who are probably just going to be discredited. I don't think that these are people who are willing to fight the good fight. Most of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them suck. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, I guess like what I like the best thing that you could do probably is if you the best way to look at it is if they're really good people and they do want to fight the good fight and they want to be effective, they're probably in the group of people that I said are like too scared to speak up against the the narrative that the leadership is putting out.
Right.
So you like they will be more likely to come to you afterwards, right? So that you can organize with them or whatever afterwards. But if they don't, if they want to continue down that path, like I like genuinely like just say them. Like they're not going to be helpful to you in the future. If anything, they would be a liability because they might eventually get to a position in the organization where they're putting out press releases and then they're going to say some crazy shit too.
Right. And then somebody comes along, it's just like me, but not me at the time, and does the exact same thing I just did with them.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I got you. And I think the part of it is that they've just been part of this huge fringe group since like their 2020. So it's like 3 years of camaraderie, feeling like they're the only ones, who are really in it. And then to get broken up like this, it's just like this part of it's just psychological. It's just like that's just my family, and like I don't think to stick with them, So to me,
yeah,
I don't know. It's and my real question.
I understand that feeling because that's how I felt when I was like leaving the like broader online left. It felt like shit. I felt like I was betraying some people that I thought were really cool. I felt like they betrayed me a lot of the time. There's a lot of kind of like dancing around, different topics so that you don't have to know what their stance is on you or about like your takes are on anything, right? Or what your actions are in this case.
Right.
Like there might be some dancing around that for a while, but like I think that the people that truly do want to work and actually do want to achieve something, they'll come through, and the people that want to just like, be LARPers online or LARPing in real life with Palestinian flags while saying Hamas is doing a good thing, like those people will continue being ineffective anti-Semitic losers, and you can get the people that actually care about things and go and do whatever the fuck y'all do.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's also tough. It's just like it's even hard to find collective action in like a mid-sized city. It's hard to find those issues that you like
actually care about.
Rally behind. Yeah, like everybody could actually rally around. So I have some pretty good connections to the IBW, but it's just like there's nothing going on in the world of energy here that's even half controversial, So it's part of it's just like part of it's just we're being oppressed so slowly that we're starting not to notice. and we're starting not even to be able to name how we're being oppressed. The conversation's so dissuaded, right? And it feels like
From within the organization or from without the organization?
just everybody. I'm just talking about the general populace, talking about everybody.
Gotcha.
It just feels like we're being like part of the reason why 2020 didn't really work too well is because, everybody knows we're being oppressed by the police state, but it's really hard to name how, especially how how the media controls it to the way that you don't get a hold of evidence you would need. You don't get the pieces of information you need to support that movement.
What changed my mind on that is that you actually can get access to that sort of stuff, but you have to know how to get access to it, right?
But yeah, they're going to dissuade you to not be able to do it every time, though.
Well, that's the point of like an activist, right? Like you can't be dissuaded, right? It's not like you have to be, Metal Gear Solid and sneak into the police station and find their like paper file, right? You can just like
Right.
file for a Freedom of Information Act, right? That's not something that's impossible to do, right? You can create such a media pressure storm, but you just have to, you have to work with the tools that a free society gives you. And we have a lot of tools to get those sorts of things. The thing that kind of changed my mind on the like oppression of the police state, and I don't want to get like into a big debate on it, but like I think that the way things work seem really bad, but it's because people aren't willing to put in the work given the systems that we have. They just either don't know about the systems that we have for oversight, or they don't want to put in the effort to do that oversight, right? From citizens, from, other police officers. Like it's a hassle, and it's easier to just go outside and protest than it is to, file this form, wait 6 weeks for a response, contact journalists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are plenty of ways that you can, affect change, but like it sounds like you have that desire and that drive, but when it comes to this sort of thing, if someone is going to be hampering your ability to do that by putting out statements supporting terrorism, it's
Right.
probably to cut those people out, and anyone that's going to like boo-hoo over you telling the terrorism supporters to stuff it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's where I was at too. But I'm just saying, in the broader scope of things, it's even hard to find like people who are willing to fight in general. People have been told that politics isn't their thing. It already eliminates 50% of the population who just doesn't even want to vote because they don't think that they can understand politics for some reason.
Yeah, we got to find a way to make. We either need to make politics easy to engage with, or we need to make it mandatory to vote, which is something that I support now. So
Mandatory voting.
yeah.
I feel like that's just gonna incentivize like lifting.
No, I think that the evidence shows the opposite. It decreases the possibility of a like highly extremist person getting elected because most people in the country are not extreme. It disincentivizes corruption because like there's going to be a lot of people voting, and if you ever get caught doing any kind of corruption, of course, like this sort of thing only works in a country with a free press and stuff like that.
Right.
But if you're caught doing corruption, then everyone's going to vote you out because everyone's voting. You're not going to be able to gerrymander out all these votes. So I'm in support of mandatory voting now.
Is it case studies like actually look at that, or is it just kind of a conceptual?
Australia.
Australia does that.
Yeah, Australia does mandatory voting. I think Germany does. I'm not 1,000% on Germany, but I know for a fact Australia does. And this is the argument that the Australian person that I talked to about this said this was like the argument the government used, right? Like we can maintain stability. Everyone is engaged in the process, et cetera, et cetera. There might be some kind of exemptions that they have for some people, but I don't know how common those are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess like I said, it's just upsetting. It's just like the 20 people who are willing to fight are now just going to be tarnished. I I'm probably going to continue to platform them. I know they have an event space that's going to be that I think November, mid-November. And I plan on just texting their event space, and I'm probably just going to give them that information, and because these suits take months to even just get their discovery.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just like there's going to be a certain point in time where this huge event that they've been working towards is just going to be able to happen. I want to make sure I can platform them prior to that. That way, like the people in the org see that their arrogance, their leadership's arrogance, is what has led to their perpetual downfall, right? And it's not just like that society hates us, so we have to be thrown onto the edge, and we can't interact with the normal shopkeepers. They don't like us, like it's just like you guys have done this to yourselves at this point. Like it's your own untapped arrogance. You guys had the cahoots, you had the arrogance to one up the people who are really affected by this, the Arab Student Association. You went to their protest and then you one up them. You upped the ante on the rhetoric and made them look bad. So now you have people who are now not willing to fight with you because you make them look bad, right?
Yeah, by being too extreme. That's the problem that I have with like extremist movements, right? I used to have this idea that there was value because like they can push the envelope to a certain degree that can change, like a paradigm, right? Like maybe they don't get like the extreme position that they want, but they can at least give us like a position that can be met halfway on that is really good, right? So like universal healthcare with the Bernie style universal healthcare, like that's probably the most extreme healthcare for all schema in the entire world. But now it is a like very popular talking point in the United States, right? Is a like major platform of many politicians that they want to get this done, and that's like the purpose, or that was the purpose of like more extreme people in politics in my mind. But now I'm at the point where actually the Overton window should shrink. The Overton window should shrink because lefties are going crazy, and they're going to push all the center people who would like mostly be like okay with unions, mostly be okay with social progressivism, shit like that, but they just they'll like do some Hamas apologia, or they'll start like saying that like everything that Russia did to Mariupol or however the fuck you say it is totally justified. Like it gets to a point where it's no longer justifiable to even consider them part of like
reasonable actors.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree, and it's I've also been talking to anyways, there's this county sheriff that's being elected, and all this stuff is going on at the same time. I've been talking to the person who's managing the political campaign. I mean, I've gotten assurances that the Jewish community is going to be more than protected. I think the immediate thing is that how do we not make sure that negates or hurts the employees union on campus? I think the biggest thing that I can do try to minimize the conflict also between the ASA and the JSU, which is just like the Arab Student Association and the Jewish Student Union. I think that's the biggest thing that one can do, is just to make sure it doesn't further that conflict, and try to put the most pressure on the IMT, which is just this group that's not internal on campus.
Yeah.
And make sure you don't just divide the racial line. You don't just put the lines in the sand as far as racially goes.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak to that sort of thing. I was never involved in any kind of like student associations or anything like that. So you're alone on that one. But I just kind of wrap things up. I would say absolutely work with the ADL if they're gonna go after these guys for like inciting violence or some shit. Go for it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Hey man,
Sondsol,
I appreciate the
appreciate you.
conversation.
Yeah,
Keep me
yeah.
updated.